What is going on, everybody? Been a diehard Pistons fan since '03 and eager to see this team getting back to playing winning basketball. It is 12:15 in the morning here in Michigan, and the Pistons have just wrapped up their game against the Phoenix Suns in the preseason, winning by a final score of 109-91. In this video, we're going to highlight some of my favorite performances from the night, talk about some of the players individually, go over some general team notes, and just kind of recap the game in general. So to kick things off, we first need to talk about Tobias Harris in his preseason debut back with the Pistons. He finished the game with 22 points, 5 rebounds, and 3 assists on 8 of 13 shooting. Right once the game started, it was Tobias time straight away. During the first 5 minutes of the game, he had 10 points on perfect shooting, and it was just a big relief. I don't really know how to explain it, but something about his veteran presence, his ability to score without much wasted movement, just really kind of feels like he is going to be a rock for this team moving forward. Really, really impressive first game for Tobias Harris, and I can't say I'm surprised. We knew what we were getting with Tobias Harris, unless you were hyper focused on either the contract or a super small sample size of his playoff performance last year. We knew who Tobias Harris was as a player, and he looked all of that tonight. So, moving on, we do need to talk about Cade, because right after Tobias took over in the first quarter, it was then time for Cade to do the exact same thing. Following up Tobias Harris's 10 points in the first quarter in the first 5 minutes, Cade went straight to work. He finished the night 1 assist shy of a triple-double. He had 25 points, 12 boards, 9 assists, 2 steals, shot 10 of 16 for the floor, and he only had 2 turnovers as well. Cade just looked really, really great out there tonight. I think that there's a lot to be said about Cade himself and his performance, but my biggest takeaway was how helpful not only Tobias is for Cade's game, but also just the added shooting around him. There was points in time where he was playing next to Beasley and Tim Hardaway at the same time, and in some of those lineups he was able to just take his guy one-on-one and go get a mid-range bucket right over top of them. There was a lot of really encouraging stuff from Cade as well as far as scoring at the rim goes. We've talked about on this channel last year was a little bit of a struggle for him scoring at the rim. Tonight it looked really, really good. He had an and one where KD fouled him. He finished through the contact no problem. Finished off the free throw to go along with that. He shot a floater, which was something we haven't seen a whole bunch of him do in previous seasons. Was nothing but net, right on the money, looked really good. Also had a dunk in transition. So overall, just a really, really good game from Cade Cunningham. And I really can't understate how much better he looks. Not that he looked bad before, but it's just so obvious that these types of lineups that are getting put around him now were probably the types of lineups that should have been around him for years at this point. So the next player that I do want to talk about is Ron Holland. What a competitor, man. We, of course, had to listen to the Phoenix Suns broadcast because Bally Sports Detroit did not host this game. They also had nothing but good things to say about Ron Holland and his competitiveness. So this isn't even some crazy homer take. Other people are noticing it, and it just really jumps off the screen when you're watching Ron Holland play. Of course, in case you guys didn't watch the game, there was a play that you probably couldn't have missed if you were watching it, where Ron Holland was in a jump ball situation, and he would not let go of the ball for a solid 30 seconds. He was on the floor wrestling for the ball well after the whistle had been blowing for a jump ball, just to prove a point. It was a pretty funny moment, but it was just like, wow, this dude is here to compete. I saw someone tweet saying that Ron Holland was born to be a Detroit Piston, and after these first couple games, and especially tonight, I think that is definitely the truth. He looks great in transition offensively. The shot still hasn't really found the bottom of the net yet, but there are so many promising things about Ron Holland as a 19-year-old. Super excited to see what can happen in the regular season, because on the defensive end and the compete level, that stuff is all already there without question. Now, a couple players that I do want to touch on briefly, not exactly highlight, but I do want to speak about them. Jalen Duren, he played in the first half, was pretty good defensively. looks a lot better. He was making a few contests and things like that on the defensive end that were impressive to me. But it does sound like he tweaked his ankle at some point towards the end of the second quarter because he didn't return in the second half. I don't have any news on that, but hoping the best for him. I don't think it was anything major, but if anything comes out about that, we will keep you all updated on this channel. Another player I want to talk about is Jaden Ivey. He didn't exactly steal the show like he did in the first 2 preseason games tonight, but he did play really well, finished with 16 points, 2 of 5 from 3. The shot looks better. We've talked about it in previous videos because it's looked better since training camp, but he's starting to seem to kind of tuck his elbow a little bit more mechanically. The shot just looks better, and it is finding the bottom of the net more often. Overall, a great game for Jaden Ivey, just slightly kind of overshadowed by Tobias and Cade, both going for 20 plus. So outside of that, no one else too key to highlight. A couple things I do want to mention about the lineup. Tim Hardaway Jr. did get the start tonight, despite Tobias Harris being back in the lineup. So the starting lineup was Cade, Ivey, Tim Hardaway Jr., Tobias, and Duren. That was a little bit interesting for me to see because I did figure that would be Simone Fontecchio's starting spot, but looks like Tim Hardaway is going to be that guy for right now. Of course, JB Bickerstaff has mentioned multiple times that he wants to try a few different lineups for the preseason, so nothing is set in stone. But as of right now, Tim Hardaway Jr. was in the starting lineup. He really hasn't been able to find his shot in the preseason yet. His three-point percentage has not been good, but that doesn't really worry me at all because we have a 10-year plus sample size that tells us that those shots will eventually start dropping for Tim Hardaway. Now, whether he should be in the starting lineup, that's a whole entirely different discussion, but I think that we will see Tim Hardaway start to hit more shots very, very soon regardless. The energy on this team is just different. Tobias was clapping on defense. The rotation just has way more talent in it, way more veteran presence. The spacing is so much better. I really don't want to get ahead of myself watching preseason basketball, but I know what I'm seeing, and it's definitely not the same roster that I saw last year. There's improvements all around as far as the veterans coming in and replacing other dudes, and the young players all seem to be ready to take some steps themselves. So I think there's going to be some really good days to come here for Pistons fans. I don't think every day is going to be a good day. There'll definitely be spurts throughout this season where things will get frustrating, but overall, tonight really kind of validated what I have been thinking through the offseason, and that is pretty much just the simple fact that the veterans that can shoot, along with Tobias being a secondary scoring option, will do wonders for this team, and also that the young players all have super high potential. So let me know what you guys think. I'll catch up with y'all soon.